Okay. My name is Tommy Harveston. My rank was a command sergeant major, which was an E9 enlisted. I was in the U.S. Army for 26 years.
Okay. And why did you enlist?
I enlisted because I wanted to be a soldier from early. When I was very, very young, I saw the movie John Wayne, The Green Berets, and I told my dad at that point I was going to be a Green Beret.
Oh, wow. So why did you pick the service branch that you joined?
I picked the Army because of Special Forces. Special Forces, Dio Presso Liber is our quote that we always have on everything that we have, and it means to free the oppressed. And I wanted to go do that because I wanted to work with other people to help them free their nation as well as keep ours free as well.
Okay. And what does that mean for you?
Means a lot. Every day I got up, I never went to work. It was a love of life. Being a soldier meant a whole lot to me. I took great pride in it. Being able to go out and be the representative of your country, sometimes it would just be our team that was in that host nation or whatever there. We represented the whole U.S. and it made me feel very, very important, everything that we did, that we were helping not only that country, but we were helping our nation as well.
Okay. Did you serve in any wars or anything like that?
Yes. I served in 2 named operations. I served in OIF, Operation Iraqi Freedom. In 2007, I was the company sergeant major for our PACOM commanders, what we call the Chief Commanders in Extremis Force, the CIF, and I was the company sergeant major, and we deployed to Iraq to work with the Iraqi Special Operations Force in 2007. It gave me great pride to be that sergeant major that went there with our company, because it was the first time that the company had been deployed as a company into combat since Vietnam.
Oh, wow. So what was your job during that time?
When I got through with the qualification course, which took 2 years to complete, I was a Special Forces engineer. Then I went up and became the operations sergeant. Once I made Master Sergeant E8, I became the senior NCO for our 12-man detachment that I was a member of. And then I went on up, became the company sergeant major, then I became a command sergeant major over the whole battalion.
Okay. Do you have any memorable experiences from that time, or any of your time in the military?
Oh yeah, yes. I have a lot. Memorable experiences. One was really memorable for me as a staff sergeant, E6. In the Army, I was selected by our battalion when I was stationed in Okinawa my first time to go to Cambodia and work at the embassy to be the demining coordinator for our nation, to work and set up things that were working there for demining and helping their army stand up their capabilities to demine their own country. During the time I was there, a fight broke out amongst their government, and we were caught right in the middle of this fight at the embassy and stuff. So I turned from being demining coordinator, turned into being a protection for the ambassador, as well as getting all American citizens evacuated out of that country as well, working with the embassy to get all that. And that was a quite memorable experience for me at such a young age.
If you don't mind asking, how old were you during that time?
Let's see, 20 years ago. I was about 35.
Okay. Did you receive any medals or citations during your time in the Army?
Yes. When I retired, I received the Legion of Merit. I was awarded 2 Bronze Stars for merit, and I have multiple other awards below that.
Okay. How did you stay in touch with your family during that time?
At first, it was very, very difficult. Before we got internet, sometimes we would go on trips for a month to 2 months, and the only way I could contact with my wife Rhonda back at home was to send him postcards, and or go to a small village. And if I was working like in Thailand or somewhere like that, I would go to the small village and try to find a payphone, a pay call center, and I would go in there and try to give her a call every now and then. Technology's changed a lot since then. Now everybody's on their notebooks and phones and stuff, and keeping up pretty well nowadays.
Did you happen to keep any postcards or letters that you wrote back and forth to each other?
Oh yes, my wife has every single one of them that I ever sent her.
Where did you travel while you were in the service?
Well, being in 1st Special Forces Group, our main theater of operation was in Asia. So I lived in Okinawa, Japan 3 different times, me and my family. And I went to Thailand, Singapore, Cambodia, Laos, Korea, in Malaysia, Singapore, as well as Iraq and Afghanistan.
Do you have a place that you had gone to that you actually would like to go back to as far as visiting? I mean, I understand that, you know, there's fighting and you were deployed to do a job, but if you weren't going to fight, obviously, would you go back to any of these places?
Yes. One sticks really dear in my heart is Cambodia. We were in there, you could tell from the genocide of Pol Pot how a lot of people had been, a whole generation had been gone. But these people, after all these years and years of war, when you go out and work with them, they were just smile, just happy somebody was there with them. And what little they had, they would give the one shirt they had off their back to you if they thought it would make a difference for you. I just thought the Khmer people were just an incredible set of people that we worked with.
Okay. Do you remember the day that you retired from the service?
Yes, I do. The day I left, I had a big going away. Well, it actually started the day before, but yes, I got up and gave my farewells to everyone, and after that I took off my uniform.
What did you do in the days and weeks after that you retired, after the time you retired?
Yes, at first my wife and I, we didn't move back home here directly. We went to Las Vegas, and I taught school out there, ROTC, Army ROTC.
So did you just go, when you entered into the military, were you in school or already working? What age did you get into?
All right. I went to college here for 3 years. I attended Carson Newman as well as UTC, and when I could not play football no more because of injury, I wanted to go do my other love, and that was to join the Army, so I got myself ready to go and join then.
Okay. Did you make any close friendships while you were in the service?
Yes. We have like what we call a brotherhood for life. We always stay in touch. Our families stay in touch. We're always talking with each other online and keeping up with who's doing what, and our kids, because we spent so much time together. We all knew each other's kids, and when they graduate or something, you know, they send it out, and we're always still involved with them 20-something years later after some of them that I had met early on.
Okay. What did you go on to do as a career after you left the military?
I went on to teach school. I was teaching school in Las Vegas, and then my wife and I decided that we wanted to move back home to Ray County, which we are both from. And when we did that, I went to work teaching junior ROTC at Red Bank High School, and until I retired from that.
Okay. Do you think your military experience influences how you think about war or the military in general?
Yes. I had the privilege and honor to serve with, I think, some of the finest Americans that this generation has produced. Less than 1% serve in the armed forces, and they do it voluntarily. And they're willing to sacrifice everything, like, for instance, birthdays, football games. Sometimes you might get one game a year for your kid and your wife, and then constantly she's worrying about you, or your family is always worried about you too when you're gone. So I have a great respect for veterans and what they go through, as well as their families.
Okay. How do you think the service and experiences affected your life?
Well, it made me really realize what goes on around the world, and how fortunate I am to be an American citizen. I've worked in countries where we've had to go and rescue the family because they went and voted, and they were going to be kidnapped and taken, and just for going to vote in the election. So when we can have the freedom to choose where we want to go to school, where we want to go to work, and live, every time I come home, I was just more grateful from each time I went somewhere else in the world.
Is there anything else that you'd like to add, or that we haven't covered in the interview?
No. Just for everybody out there, when you see a veteran, the best thing you can do for them is tell them thank you. Thank them for their service, because being a veteran, to everybody has their own set of memories that goes from being a veteran, and the best thing you could do, and I'm telling you, if someone comes up and tells you thank you, it just warms your heart and makes you say, you know, what I chose to do and sacrifice for our nation was worth it.
What does being a veteran mean for you?
Being a veteran is first, you volunteered. You volunteered to be in our armed forces. You're going to give up great sacrifices in your life, not only about your family, but you might give up physically. Arms, legs might be gone, and also as well as inside, mentally too. Some veterans have a hard time with some of the things that they were exposed to and done, and I understand that, coming from being in the military where I was. So my different perspective of being a veteran is totally different now than before it was when I went into the Army.
How do you think that's changed? Just your experience in being in the military? And
yes, being in the military and really seeing what goes on, and TV glorifies a lot of things, and it's not like that actually out in the real world out there in the military. Spend many nights away from your family, go months. 1 month I was only home 30 days out of the year, and my wife kept everything together. So it's just amazing that the sacrifices that everybody makes, and you don't really realize that unless you're involved in those types of communities in the armed forces.
So what does Veterans Day mean for you?
Well, Veterans Day means to me that it's a day of reckoning for all of our veterans. It's a day to say thank you to our veterans. For veterans, we live Veterans Day every day. It's a part of us. I can see one somewhere here in town, and I'll just nod my head and they'll nod back. And it's just that recognition of each other, of being part of that brotherhood, or you can call it sisterhood, of knowing that you are in a fraternity for life. And it means a lot to me. I'm very, very proud to be a veteran of our armed forces.